Our story didn't start in a history book, it started in the dirt. For millions of years, our ancestors were athletes, hunters, and gatherers. But around 4000 BCE in Mesopotamia, people set aside their spears and picked up shovels instead. The invention of agriculture was a total game changer. Settling down between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, we learned to grow our own food. This single idea allowed cities like Uruk to explode to over 50,000 people. We weren't wanderers anymore, we were builders. But this new lifestyle came at a cost. We actually got shorter and weaker. We traded brute strength for the security of a full-grain silo. From this cradle of civilization, empires shot up like weeds. In Egypt, the pharaohs became fixated on the afterlife, spending massive amounts of resources to build the Great Pyramids as a way to guarantee their rule forever. Meanwhile, in Babylon, King Hammurabi was carving laws into a 7-foot stone slab. His code was brutally simple: an eye for an eye. It wasn't about equality. A noble's eye was worth far more than a slave's. But it was the first time society ran on a written rulebook that everyone had to follow. This idea of law, of order imposed from the top, would echo for centuries. In Athens, every male citizen got a vote. It was messy, chaotic, and loud, a system the philosopher Plato absolutely hated. He argued that letting just anyone steer the ship of state was insane. You needed a wise philosopher king. Up the road, their rivals in Sparta couldn't have cared less about voting. Spartan society was a brutal military machine, where weak babies were discarded and boys were forged into the world's deadliest warriors. This clash of ideas, freedom versus discipline, defined an era, until a student of Aristotle, Alexander the Great, decided to just conquer everyone, spreading Greek culture from Egypt to India in a legendary world-changing blaze of glory. Rome picked up where the Greeks left off, but they were more pragmatic, more organized. After crushing their rival Carthage and the brilliant general Hannibal, Rome transformed from a republic into the most dominant empire the world had ever seen. It was a story of raw ambition, epitomized by Julius Caesar crossing the Rubicon River with his army, a blatant act of treason that sparked a civil war and made him dictator for life. His famous last words, "Et tu, Brute," as senators stabbed him to death, plunged Rome back into chaos. Out of the ashes rose his adopted son Augustus, the first Roman emperor. Under his reign, a man named Jesus was born in the quiet province of Judea, whose teachings would eventually conquer the empire that executed him. When Rome finally fell, the world fractured. In Europe, Vikings terrorized coastlines while knights and serfs built the feudal system out of necessity. In the Arabian desert, the Prophet Muhammad received the word of God, and the new religion of Islam exploded across the world, creating a vast, sophisticated empire while Europe was still in the dark. In China, dynasties rose and fell according to the mandate of heaven, the idea that rulers could lose the god's favor. And on the steppes of Asia, Genghis Khan united nomadic tribes into an unstoppable Mongol horde, building the largest land empire in history through sheer terror and brilliant strategy. The world began to shrink. European kings, fueled by religious fervor, launched the Crusades to reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim rule, a bloody conflict that lasted for centuries. Back home, a cultural rebirth, the Renaissance, exploded out of Italy. Geniuses like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo created timeless masterpieces. Then, in 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed west and collided with a world Europeans never knew existed, kicking off an age of exploration, conquest, and devastation for the native civilizations of the Americas, like the Aztecs and Incas. At the same time, a German monk named Martin Luther challenged the Catholic Church's authority, sparking the Protestant Reformation and shattering the religious unity of Europe forever. The idea of challenging authority caught fire. In 1776, American colonists, fed up with British rule, declared that all men were created equal with rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Their revolution created a new kind of nation and inspired the French to overthrow their own king in a bloody, chaotic uprising that led to the guillotine-fueled Reign of Terror and the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte, who tried to conquer all of Europe in his own right. From there, the pace of change became blindingly fast. The Industrial Revolution armed nations with deadlier weapons, leading to the unimaginable slaughter of 2 world wars. But that same ingenuity also gave us computers, the internet, and sent Neil Armstrong walking on the moon. The story of civilization is a relentless cycle of creation and destruction, of freedom and control, of empires rising and turning to dust. We are still writing the next chapter, living in the world built upon their bones, their laws, and their dreams.